Welcome to another edition of Two Sites Unite. I am George Phillips with oilpressure.com.
And I am Paul Dalby with fieldof33.com.
And Paul, it is the month of May.
Best month of the year.
You know, I don't know about your readers, viewers, whatever they are, but on my site, they're getting a double dose of me in video form this week because just a couple of days ago we did, I did One Take Only with John McClellan. And so here we are Thursday, and it's you. So,
well, that is truly unfortunate for your loyal patrons who
both of them. But
right.
But you know, John's just sort of that's more of a two guys sitting there really carrying on a bunch of foolishness. But we actually get into some in-depth race. Sometimes some might say too in-depth racing.
Well, I cannot wait to see how John spins that either Graham Rahal or Ryan Hunter-Reay are going to win this year.
Well, watch it and see.
All right. Well, I see you're drinking Gatorade there. Is that in honor of Johnny Rutherford's second place finish in 1975?
Well, I hadn't thought about that, but no.
Because while you're drinking for second place, let me toast you to Bobby Unser's victory. Because winners drink milk.
That's true, and losers drink Gatorade in second place. And speaking of second place, have you been to the second exhibit at the museum?
I have not. It is on my list to attend one of the next 3 weekends.
And I would highly recommend it. However, the Johnny Rutherford car that you just referenced is not there.
It was one of those cars you just don't run across very often.
Well, it was never one of my favorites. No, I'm actually drinking Gatorade just because, as you very well know, and most people know, I don't work out. I don't do anything athletic. I never have. So this makes me feel like that I do.
That's great. That's fantastic. I think that's great.
I think that's just great. No, actually, unlike most people, I actually like the taste of Gatorade. The lemon lime Gatorade, I've always loved it since I was a kid.
Yeah, I like the fruit punch, the red.
No. So, but anyway,
hard-hitting topics that our fans came to hear about.
No, and I didn't even remember to deliver the little joke that I had planned on mentioning when we first got on here. I was going to reference something like we're the Doublemint twins, but you're probably too young to even remember the Doublemint twins.
I remember the Doublemint twins, but I'm not sure how that really comes into play here.
Well, actually, I was going to say nobody's going to mistake us for the Doublemint twins, but I totally forgot it, but I felt like, okay, now if I got it, I'll go back and retrieve it, and it just doesn't have the same effect.
It wasn't funny, no matter if you would have done it beginning or end. It's fine.
You know, well, actually kind of surprised me that you were aware of the Doublemint twins because I thought they were more of a product of the 60s and 70s.
I don't know. I remember Doublemint gum. It was terrible. Awful.
Well, yeah, but the Doublemint twins were some very attractive.
Are you being chauvinistic?
No, I'm just being creepy. They were very attractive young women. They were actually identical twins. They got new ones, and I guess today they would get what are they, those twin basketball players from Miami, Cavendish twins or Cavender twins. You don't even know who I'm talking about.
No idea.
Yeah. So anyway, moving on before I really dig myself into a grave. It's the month of May. So we have the Grand Prix coming up this weekend. In fact, Friday morning, Susan and I are going to hop in the car and drive up. And I've already told her, and I've told you about it, but I've mentioned it on my website. John and I talked about it briefly. We're going up Friday morning, but before we go to the track, we're going to the Working Man's Friend to eat a burger.
All right.
Because Susan does appreciate a good burger, and I'm telling you, Robin Miller did not lie. That is the best burger I have ever eaten.
It's high praise.
Huh?
That is high praise, and I will put that on my list. I got to figure out when I can get over there, but I will make it over there at some point in time.
Well, keep in mind, it's only open from 11 to 2:45, Tuesday through Saturday, except on Friday nights they do stay open until 8 o'clock.
That could be a Legends Day.
Nope, because they are closed on the Saturday before the race. Maybe a Legends weekend Friday night, but
yeah, we'll see.
But anyway, that's why Susan and I going up first thing Friday morning before we go to the. We're going to miss practice one, but we are going to forsake or forego practice one for a very delicious burger.
Okay, so, good for you.
Okay, so hard hitting stuff. We've been through Barber, or as Lee Diffie says, Baba.
Baba.
And, we're what, 4 races into the season? Penske's won 2, Andretti 1, Ganassi 1, McLaren 0.
Ganassi opener, Penske at Texas. Ericsson won. What was after Texas?
Long Beach.
Long Beach. That's right.
And that was Kirkwood.
That's right.
That's right. And then McLaughlin at Barber.
Okay.
So got 2 races in May. So do you see McLaren winning either one of them? They could.
I think they could. I think they could win either of them. I think their odds are. No, I'd like to say their odds are better on the GP, but I don't know. They ran pretty strong in the 500 last year, so I guess I wouldn't be shocked if they won either of the races. I think it's just a matter of putting everything together. They've had all the pieces this year. They just haven't put it together to make it happen. I think Pato would have won at Texas. I do believe he would have won if that race hadn't gotten Grosjeaned.
I think you're right.
Pato should have won St. Pete, except for an unfortunate event that was totally out of his control. I think Pato's probably the stronger option on both of those races. Rosenquist had a good run in the 500 last year. I don't remember what he did in the Grand Prix, but he was running a strong 3rd, 4th late in the race. Rossi, unfortunately, I don't see him in that top tier, but I guess I could be surprised.
He did win the road course race that you went to, that I was supposed to go to in August.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or was that July? July or August? End of July, 1st of August, somewhere in there. But he did win the summer race on the road course last year. And then when I think back of the Grand Prix last year, to be honest, the only thing I really think of is Herta making that crazy save in the rain. Yeah. And I couldn't tell you who else was on the podium with him.
Well, was he behind Dixon when he made that save?
I can't remember. I just remember the save.
The Grand Prix to me is just as much as I hate to say it, it's an overlooked throwaway race. It's a better way to start the month's activities, I guess, in some people's mind than a practice session. But it's not a race that I.
So let me ask you this:
dedicate a lot of internal memory to this event.
I think it was back in April, before Trackside went nightly. They were discussing the possibility of a big to-do weekend with concerts and blah blah blah, to just, opening day like it was up until 2014 when they invented the Grand Prix. I went to an opening, of course, we're talking 30 years ago. I went to, 29 years ago, I went to opening day from Tennessee in 94. Drove up because opening day was actually supposed to be on a Saturday. It got rained out, so we drove up on Sunday, stayed all day, drove back that night. But opening day then, and of course, that's when the Penske Mercedes debuted on
Right.
track, and I mean that was opening day then was much bigger than qualifying weekend now or pole day now.
So yeah.
It was not like pole day back then, but it was a very full crowd on both sides of the track. And if, of course, there was no concert, there was nothing but race cars on track, but it was just a full day, and I had a blast. I'm not so sure about my this was my first wife. I'm not sure she had a blast, but took the kids. They were like what 4 and 5 or whatever, and kids enjoyed it. But do you try to make just a gigantic weekend of practice, add a couple of days of practice, big concert, big whatever? It's another chance to get people out to the track. But I kind of get tired of the old, why does it take a concert to get people to the track?
Yeah, I thought Kevin made some good points when he was talking about that. In fact, I really liked the idea that he had of running practice on Saturday to something of an extravaganza, then take Sunday and Monday off, regroup. I think the way he approached it was almost like move the April test to that weekend. I would almost like to see him run a Friday and Saturday. I don't know. I think avoiding the Mother's Day itself is probably wise. Yes, I know they used to run qualifying on Mother's Day. It was never spectacularly attended.
Well, that was it was pre-split.
Even the second day was never greatly attended. The first day always was, but not the second day.
Well, I mean, back in 93 and 95, I was there. Well, 95, I was there all 4 days. I was there both weekends. In 93, I didn't go to qualifying in 94, but in 93, we went the first 2 days, the Saturday and Sunday. And you're right, it was not as attended, but it was still a good crowd.
Sure. But I think avoiding the Mother's Day crowd or actual on-track activity on Mother's Day is probably a better idea now. But I would still like to see them open on the oval. I think the Grand Prix, I guess, serves its course, but it's just not a memorable event.
No, except
probably
the very first year when they did the standing start. And
right, that's about that. I was going to say, I can name probably 3 highlights from over the years. One of them was whoever that was.
Saavedra.
What's Saavedra? Okay, Saavedra.
Saavedra was on the pole.
I think Pagenaud had a good race in the rain a couple of years ago where he tracked down Dixon late and then, hurt us save last year. Other than that, it's just not a memorable event.
No, and if it were not at IMS in May, I wouldn't go probably. But just like the NASCAR doubleheader thing, I don't really like that weekend, but we go.
I really despise the NASCAR weekend because it makes me ill watching IndyCar play second fiddle.
No, they play third fiddle.
Third fiddle, you're right. Yeah, second fiddle, I guess, on the warm-up day. Yeah, I don't like that at all.
But we go because it's a chance to go see race cars at IMS again.
There's that.
All right. So anyway, so you're going all 3 weekends.
I will be there on Saturday. Race day only this weekend. Then I'll be back for the full weekends for the 500 stuff.
Okay. We're planning on going all three. And then I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's too early to pick a 500 winner, probably. You don't think?
Nope.
Okay. Well, we'll get to that in a second. I've I've already said I said this at Barber that I already knew when we left Barber. I already knew who I was picking for the Grand Prix, Grosjean, just because he's done very well on the track. He's got a pole, he's got a second, he's got a third. Um, he I picked him for the last two races, and he's finished second in both of those. I mean, he's knocking on the door as hard as he can without breaking through. And I think on this track, this is more of it is a former Formula One track, although he never raced there in Formula One. But it's the type of track that he was used to racing on in Formula One, sort of.
Okay.
I just think that I think it's time.
Okay.
Andretti won both the races on that track last year. So he is my pick for the Grand Prix. You?
I will go partway with you there, and I will agree with you that I think the winner will come out of the Andretti stable. But I'm just throwing my chips down with Colton again. I just think he's so good on that track, and for whatever reason, I just feel like he's strong there. He's had a bit of a down start to the year, but I think this is
very, very much of a down start.
Yeah, I mean, he ran strong at Texas. He was very strong there. Was in that lead pack at the end. Kind of got taken out at St. Pete, but not kinda. He got taken out at St. Pete by Will Power. And quite honestly, I can't remember what Long Beach and Barber.
Yeah, I was trying to sit here and look this up right now.
Yeah. Neither were spectacular enough for us to remember, so I guess that tells you something. But no, I just, for some reason, I just feel like Colton Herta is going to get the job done again.
You know where he stands in the points?
I want to say he's like 15th, 17th, somewhere in there.
No, he's 10th.
Well, I thought that's better than I thought.
Yeah, this is updated. No. So he's 10th, but he's been just kind of there. I mean, He's just, as you say, not very memorable at all.
Yeah.
In fact, if I had to pick another Andretti driver besides Grosjean to win it, it'd be Kirkwood.
Yeah, okay. I mean, he got his win at Long Beach. It's just...
You really don't care, do you? About the Grand Prix.
It kind of, no, you're exactly right. I think the best thing I can say about the Grand Prix is it provides a decent buffer for Barber. So that Barber, which is I hate to use the term, a real race on the calendar, but it's not the one that's over. It doesn't matter what's over. Unless it was Long Beach, any other race is going to be overlooked when it's immediately before the 500. So you may as well have the GP be that one that's kind of throwaway race and protect Barber from that.
Okay. All right. So I say Grosjean, you say Herta. We'll move on to the main entree.
Okay.
So you shaking your head. It's not too early. So who do you say is going to win the 500?
We're going here now, right? We're starting here.
Starting here.
This is the year that Dixon gets his second. The poor guy has dominated the last three, 20, 21, 22. He's dominated the month. Really, go all the way back to 17. He was dominating then. 17, he gets taken out in a freak crash. 20, he
horrifying freakish crash.
Horrifying freak crash. 20, he dominates the race, and then Sato kind of just turns it on right at the very end. 21, he has the terrible misfortune early in the race with the pit. When the pits were closed. And then last year, he threw it away basically threw it away on his own. No one to blame but himself.
Right.
He's lost the race every conceivable way. At some point, when you continue to dominate year after year after year after year, eventually you run out of ways to lose. This isn't like Lloyd Ruby, where bad luck just kept finding him and, he could have won or maybe couldn't have won. I mean, Dixon has dominated.
Well, unfortunately, he already does have a win.
He does have a win, yes, but he should have, and as much as I hate that term, he should have probably 3 at least wins by this point.
Yeah. Well, you'll be happy to know that that's my pick as well.
Well, sorry, Scott.
Well, and as I said on One Take Only a couple of days ago, what are you doing?
Sorry, my legs are getting cramped.
I'm getting nauseous all of a sudden.
It'll be all right.
No, I said then Scott Dixon, but I also said, but I reserve the right to change my mind.
I reserve that right, but I find it highly unlikely that I'm going to need to. There are certainly other people who can win this race. I would not at all be shocked if Alex Palou, your favorite, wins. I wouldn't be shocked if Pato wins. I think the big question, there's 2 big questions that are somewhat intricately linked here is, can Penske finally bounce back? Because Penske, since Roger Penske bought the track, his team has not had a single decent month.
You're right. And of course, I remember in 20, I said maybe the fact that the captain is no longer on the pits, in the pits with the team, maybe that's having an effect. I don't know. But it's deeper than that because, their cars have just not performed.
No, but they perform everywhere else. It's just, for some reason, Indianapolis has had this vex on them since 2020, and it's hard to say, but Power damn near didn't even make the field in 21.
Yep.
Newgarden finished. Was he like 5th last year? 5th or 6th?
He finished 5th one year recently. I forget. No, it wasn't last year because didn't Rossi finish 5th?
Yeah, maybe somewhere up in that area. And that's been the most competitive that any of those cars have been since 2019.
And I'm wondering if, and I said this the other day too, I'm sort of wondering if Newgarden might get into that Lloyd Ruby category.
Well, you have to want. I think he may be past the Lloyd Ruby now. I was shocked to hear this will be his
12th, I think.
Is it his 12th? He was a rookie in 12, so this would be his 12th.
Yeah.
Pretty soon, if he doesn't win this year, he would win in his 13th, which I guess would tie him with Kanaan. I can't remember if Kanaan was in his 12th or 13th. I think Sam Hanks is still the record holder with 13 or 14.
Yeah, Kanaan, I think, was because Kanaan's first race is what, 02?
Yes. So his would have been his 12th, yes. And Sam Hanks still holds the record for the winning in his 13th, which, again, to me is a bit of an asterisk since he didn't actually start one of those races. Nonetheless, Newgarden is coming close to being able to set that record. And so the other question then is, how is Chevrolet going to perform this year? Because Chevrolet has been out. They haven't won since 2019. Pato was okay last year, but otherwise, most of the Chevrolets, sans Ed Carpenter Racing were not very competitive last year. Honda has had a pretty good run this year, though, that being said, Newgarden,
it's 2-2 right now.
yeah, Newgarden and Pato were kind of the class of the field at Texas, so maybe that gives them some hope.
Yeah.
But without having the timesheet from the open test in front of me from a few weeks ago, it seemed like that was a Honda heavy pointy end of the.
Well, Newgarden was the fastest. He turned the fastest lap, didn't he?
I think he finally did at the very end of that, but
I don't have that in front of me either. But and, I was there. I don't remember. What I really remember though was Callum Alott was just dead last.
Well, terrified, dead last.
Yeah, his car was evil.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, not good.
Speaking of that, we do have 34 cars. Who's going to be left out? Who's going to be left standing when the music stops?
It just seems too easy to pick RC Enerson, right?
Yeah.
Well,
okay, let me throw this at, and I personally, I hope this is not the case, but I think it's a real possibility. Catherine Legg is in the 4th Rahal car. Remember their last trip to an oval, Texas. They were beyond out to lunch.
Yeah.
They were just awful. And then you had a 4th car to that trio that was just not even competitive.
Right.
Is she left out?
I would say that if you polled 100 people, 98% are going to have Catherine Legg probably just slightly above RC Enerson. Yeah. I think that's an unfortunate reality. Rahal the whole team has looked lost this year. Except for Lundgaard had a decent race at Bada a couple weeks ago.
But let's not overlook the obvious. In 2019, you had Kyle Kaiser with Juncos. You had Alonso McLaren. Who was the obvious one to go home in that pairing?
Sure. Well, of course, McLaren had hitched their wagon to Carlin that year, who also had Pato O'Ward bumped out of the field with him. So.
And did Max Chilton try that run? Try that? No.
Kimball was part of that.
Kimball was their only one to make it.
That's right. That's right. But there's always some surprise, some twist. Somebody's going to struggle. Somebody's going to put it in the wall. Somebody's going to be down there that you're not expecting, whether that's James Hinchcliffe getting bumped, or as you said, Alonso, or we mentioned Will Power in 21 barely made the field.
Or Team Penske in 95.
Right. So there's always some twist that happens down there. You can go back to 2011. Was it 11 when Andretti almost had all 4 of his cars bumped out? In fact,
Hunter Ray ended up
his teammate Hunter Ray out.
Yeah.
At the end. So yeah, it's easy to say Legg and RC Enerson are the 2 obvious ones to be down there, but this qualifying format, also can really, you can do some goofy things with that. If the weather is variable on Saturday, and Enerson and Catherine Legg pull a favorable draw early in the day, and then suddenly it gets hot or it rains midday, and then they get locked into that top 30. Well, now that bottom 3 shootout becomes really interesting.
Yeah.
So let me, I guess, spin that question around to you. Not who's the obvious one to get bumped, but who can you see having that struggle that we just mentioned, that somebody that you don't expect going into the month of May is suddenly scrambling late in the day on Saturday to try to lock themselves in or end up on Sunday's bubble.
I think, and we've seen this before with another team, so many parallels. I can actually see Catherine Legg getting locked in on Saturday, and Jack Harvey having to struggle on Sunday. Because remember, let's go back to that same race, 2011, when Pippa Mann was the one-off driver for Eric Batchelor. What was it? Conquest? Was that the team?
Conquest, yep.
And she got in, but Saavedra was the full-time driver. He did not. I could see that shaping up because Harvey, for whatever reason, and I don't think he forgot how to drive a car since he left MSR. Boy, if he had that to do over again, what do you think he would do?
Well, I was going to follow up whatever you were going to say with that, but as a preview, that divorce hasn't gone well for either party.
No, and I think that I could see him struggling with Catherine Legg making it. I mentioned Callum Alott.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they figure that car out? And then you got Canapino.
Yeah.
He wasn't just horrible during the open test, but I don't think he set the world on fire either. Tell you another team that when you and I both went to Texas, and the full-time driver struggled while the part-time driver did better. Ed Carpenter Racing,
Yep.
Connor Daly, and
when you say Ed did better, he wasn't exactly setting the track.
No, I think he qualified 15th, 13th, something like that. But Connor Daly and VK, they were
only racing Ray Hall and Harvey.
Yeah. And what's going on there? And
that's hard. That's another one. The knock on Ed Carpenter Racing, or maybe knock isn't a fair thing to say, but they and Schmidt Peterson just had this never-ending rotation of drivers with no stability. Well, now we're into the third year now with the Connor and VK pairing, and unfortunately, it feels like they've taken a step backwards. But again, how much of this it goes back to the Chevy?
This is fourth year. This is VK's fourth year. What about Connor?
Oh, it is VK's fourth year. Connor was 21 at least with. Yeah, I can't remember when he quit doing the split ride with Carlin. Those years are all running together now.
Yeah, but
yeah, so it's 3 or 4 years with this same stable group, and again, it kind of goes back. You wonder, is there more with the Chevrolet here? It feels like we've heard that over the years, that Chevrolet kind of lets their teams operate a bit more independently than what Honda does. Maybe that's what we're seeing here, and that Foyt's not kicking in a whole lot of help to the standings for Chevrolet.
Oh, but in fairness to Foyt, they have not been horrible.
No, I was expecting. I mean, other than Benjamin Peterson getting launched at St. Pete, or I guess he did the launching, not getting launched. Otherwise, no.
I mean, they were both taken out in that crash, first lap crash at St. Pete, but Ferrucci's been okay, and their cars are not bad in the 500.
No, they put good cars generally. Maybe Dalton Kellett accepted. They put some good cars in the 500, and Tony Kanaan was running for the lead back in, 18? Up to like the midway point of the race when he got a cut tire. But, I mean, he was running strong that race. And Ferrucci has a great record in the 500. Yep. So I would be shocked at all to see Ferrucci in a top 10 at the end of the day.
Speaking of Kanaan, what do you see him doing?
I think Kanaan will get a lot of fanfare going into the race.
Remember, he finished third last year.
When the checkered flag falls, I have an unfortunate feeling we're going to look back at the last 200 laps and realize I can't remember anything that Tony Kanaan did in this race.
Really?
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong. I would love to see him with a top 5 finish. That's just a bit. That would be a tough road to hoe for him to come in without having been in a race this year at all. New team against guys that are really running well.
Really running.
They're really running well.
Okay, I think he's gonna. He may not finish third. Most likely won't win, but I think Kanaan is gonna have another. I think he's gonna have another good run.
I would agree with you, and I don't know that he'll have the horse to win. But I remember saying that same thing the year he actually did win. I said, "Yeah, I'd love to see TK win this year, but probably not the year it's going to happen."
In that horribly ugly car.
It wasn't that bad.
I'm not really wild about his car this year.
I think all the McLaren cars look great, but Rosenquist is going to be my favorite car. Period.
Oh yeah, he's got the Marlboro.
Don't say it. Don't say it. You can't say that word.
Marlboro.
Gosh, that just makes me want to go light up.
Yeah, and I bet if your kids hear it, they're going to want to go sneak one too.
They probably will.
All right, so you said we needed to wrap this up early, and we've been talking for about almost 38 minutes.
Well, this is only our first of the month here. My understanding is we're looking to record a race preview. Is that correct? So
I believe that's correct.
The right after qualifying weekend to throw this in the garbage and
right?
Remember
one year we did one of these at qualifying.
Yes, we did it on the balcony.
Yeah,
the winner's balcony.
Balcony of the media center, and I believe that was when Kaiser bumped Alonso.
Yeah, could have been.
So. Not saying we're going to do that this time, but we'll see. I think it's ramping up later this year, which is not good for those of us who drive home on Sunday night.
Is it? I didn't realize the times had shifted.
I think it's back to almost ramping up around 6 o'clock.
So they're not doing the. That's right, because I did see that they moved the the post qualifying practice back to Monday now. Because the last couple of years they've done that after qualifying on Sunday, haven't they? Didn't they wrap up the poll around 2:30 or 3 o'clock last year? And I thought they went like 4 to 6 o'clock with.
Maybe, yeah, I think now that you mentioned that, that does sound vaguely familiar.
I feel like this is turning into the Daytona 500, where they just make a new schedule every year, and traditional schedules have no bearing anymore.
No, nothing is sacred.
Nothing is sacred.
They should ask us.
They should. Yeah, I was listening to. What year was it? I think it was the 1991 radio broadcast this morning or yesterday on the Mixler app, which, by the way, is excellent. Shout out to our friends at IndyCar Radio because it's really good. Anytime, fire up the app and you can listen to historic.
Did you say Mixler?
I think it's MIXLR. Do you not?
I thought it was the TuneIn app.
Oh, they got off of TuneIn a couple years ago. Come on, keep up. This one right there, Mixler, right there, and you can fire up anyone you want, or not anyone you want, but they've had races all the way back to 1955. Here we go.
because the speeds they're running right at the present time, they will maintain
The-
for a long
Freddie
time.
Agabation.
Glorious Tony. Freddie Agabation. So I don't know what year this is, but you can fire it up anytime. Listen to Sid Collins, Freddie Agabation.
Speaking of Sid Collins, give a shout out to our friend Jake Query and his Beyond the Bricks. He has been getting some subtle little digs at Sid all through their season. I think it was when Sid was interviewing Peter DiPaolo, maybe,
$100.
or it could have been Ralph. But anyway,
Having a great time.
he said, and how's that business going up in Saginaw, Michigan? Well, Sid's going, okay, well, great. and Jake said, Sid was obviously very concerned about the business in Saginaw. I guess you had to have been there, but it was just, you know, they're talking about, you know, old Joe, you know, they're having some fun with those old Sid commercials and Sid interviews.
Well, there you go. You should. I hope that your burger that you have at the Working Man's Friend is better than your trophy loaf or your olive loaf starchy loaf.
Yeah, nothing like
Trophy loaf. I'm sure you had that when you were growing up.
I don't even know what trophy loaf is. I heard him talking about it. I had no idea what but I do remember something just very disgusting in my childhood called olive loaf.
Nothing that sounds good about that.
Fortunately, my mother never put that in my lunch, but I remember some kid coming and he wanted to trade his lunch with everybody, and you know, said, "What is that? God, no!"
My dad used to eat Braunschweiger. Did you ever have that?
No, but my mother used to sneak in some liverwurst.
I think it's the same thing.
Oh, is it?
Oh, it was like, imagine bologna that was slightly less formed and mushy.
Yeah.
It was awful. It came in this disgusting yellow package, like a tube of. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've
Officially gone off the
low
rails.
when we start talking about Stark and Wessel olive loaf.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
All right. So we're approaching the 45-minute mark. You're picking Colton and Dixon. I'm picking Grosjean and Dixon, and we'll see how they go. We're not picking the pole because we have no way of knowing how that's going to go.
Do you think the speeds will be as high as they were last year, though?
Yes.
Do you think we'll see a new record this year?
No.
I'd agree with you on both those. I don't know if the pole will be quite as fast as last year, but I think we'll be in the general ballpark.
Tell me what the pole was last year.
234 and a half.
I was thinking 234, but I wasn't 100% sure. We will not see I would like to think we'll see a track record sometime in my lifetime again, but I'm not certain.
Oh, I'm sure the new hybrid. What do they call them? Power units.
I don't know.
100 more horsepower. They're really gonna zoom.
And you're going to save the planet too.
Oh, I would think.
Just like when we went to Texas in my hybrid.
You being a hybrid, I'm sure that's very exciting for you to save the planet.
Yes, it is.
I think if we're saving
every time I fill up at the gas pump, and it's a fraction of what yours is.
What's that?
I said it is exciting when I go to the gas pump, and it's for a fraction of what your fill up is.
There is that. You also have like a 4-gallon tank in your.
It's
car.
10.
Okay.
So anyway, now we are at the 45-minute mark. So
all right. Quits. My battery isn't dead yet.
Yeah. All right. So we are going to do this again in a couple of weeks, right before the 500. We'll have a much better feel for what to expect. We'll probably have a few things to discuss too.
I would bet so.
New history will have been made by then. But get to the Working Man's Friend. sometime this month. You got
That
to.
is on my goal list.
You owe it to yourself.
I got to figure out when I can do it, but I'll try to make it happen.
Do it. You can do it Saturday.
This Saturday?
Yep. The race is not till 3:30.
Who made that schedule? All right. Well, we'll see.
So, all right. Any closing thoughts?
No.
Okay, me neither. So, for Paul Dalmy and Field of 33, I am George Phillips with oilpressure.com. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.